Nada.
The meat is ready.
Yeah.
Eh.
Yeah.
I think we're ready.
Yeah.
Well, what's
all right.
going on, everybody? We are the Defenders of Comics, and I think we have some great topics this week. But first, before we get to that, we got Ace and we got Ref as always. Ref is back. We missed Ref last week.
Yeah, sorry, I was in the commissioner's office last week, so I'm out. They've cleared me for, officiating more awesomeness, so I'm back.
Commissioner Gordon gave you a firm spanking.
I mean, he deserved it, let's be honest.
Nah, don't threaten me with a good time.
We are going to talk this week
Indeed,
about Loki episode 4, and I'm just going to go right to it. I don't get what some of the complaints are about. In my opinion, Loki episode 4 is the best episode of Loki so far. We don't have to dive in gigantically yet. We'll give them a warning, that there's some spoilers if some people
There are
haven't read it.
spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead.
Last chance.
Last chance. There you go.
All right.
Get ready, bro.
So what was some things that jumped out at you, Ace, about Loki episode 4? What did you like the most about it?
Well, I have loved Loki as a whole. So I've loved almost every episode. I love the quirky sci-fi. Every episode's kind of ramped up. It's good pacing for the storyline. So we have some the big reveals. I guess the first one we could go into was the cameo. Which, spoiler ahead, guys, if you haven't watched it. Ref earmuffs. We got Sif. Back. Jamie Alexander back in the MCU. Yeah, she purty.
I'm trying to get to that part. Yeah, I thought it was hilarious, and what I don't understand the most is there are a shit ton of complaints about this. And the complaints about this, I don't understand. Okay, I'm just calling out some people, and I'm sorry. I'm to the point where I'm sick of it, and you two don't have to call them out. I can stand on, I got broad shoulders.
I want to stay friends.
But I really, what's up, Sam? How are you doing, man? Thanks for coming in. I really enjoy certain streamers. I mean, it really actually is my day while I'm working, doing some paperwork. It's nice to see some certain streamers stream.
Yeah, I listen to a nice variety.
But to the point that some of them have gotten out of control. And some of them have figured out that they make a lot of money and get a lot of views to be critical all the time. And now they're ramping it up to be critical on everything. I was watching Az. I like Az. I think he brings some really good information. But Az has been on a kick here lately to just trash every single thing about Marvel, DC, comics in general. I have not heard Az say one good thing about anything lately. Not one.
Well, there is one thing, but you're right. He loves Superman and Lois, so that is great.
But when he's saying he loves Superman and Lois, he's cautious still.
Right, it's true.
I mean, but Az is good stuff, and I'm not sitting here trying to slap him, but at the same time, he made this part of Loki that I have up right now that you were just talking about. He made it such a part about female power that they kept going over and over again about kicking Loki or kneeing Loki in the balls, that I don't understand where he's going.
Man, I didn't pick up on that at all. It shows my naivete, because I just thought it was a funny scene of two characters that grew up together, were kids, practically cousins. He pulled a prank on her. She wasn't having it. She kneed him and hit him. I mean, it was funny.
Yes. And I have some cousins that are female. And I'm going to tell you, if the tides were turned in our family and this situation happened, they would kick the shit out of me too. You know what I mean? It's not like, I don't get it.
Yeah, okay, so they've went from quality videos about shredding Batwoman, which they should, because it is absolute trash.
And
absolute
rightfully so.
Garbage.
Not that I
rightfully so.
Not that I say and kiss the ass of everything that we talk about, because we don't.
No, but I mean that all is like if you watch an episode of Batwoman, you're like, whew, how is this on TV? I mean, how does it get renewed for season 3? It's ridiculous. To going to I think a great quality show and shredding it for that. Like, well, did you not see the rest of the episode? This was a very compelling, revealing, exciting episode. So, what?
And I'm sorry, I thought this was funny as hell. This is his jail that he is going to.
Right.
And it is over and over and over. And I laughed. I thought it was great.
Yeah, again, it's like, okay, this is people, we can go on the other side of people being the dreaded SJW word, whatever, and them scrutinizing every little thing about male patriarchy or toxic masculinity, whatever. That's all bullshit too. 100%. That's what most of us are railing against. But now they have become the enemy in a sense. It's like, okay, now you are scrutinizing everything that isn't the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't meet your qualities for to have a super strong character in every single scene, then there must be some reason they put that in there. It's another game they're playing. It's like, well, maybe it's just a pretty damn good show.
And like I said, I didn't get that until he said that, and all I did was laugh.
Never would have didn't pick up on it at all.
Sam says SJW in comics has not worked in any media in the past 5 to 10 years ever at all on any level.
Well, you're not wrong, man. And that's probably a whole separate video / conversation to discuss that state of things because, the SJW, the true SJWs have and are destroying at least Marvel DC. But again, that's a whole nother video, but you're absolutely right.
What did you think about the very beginning when they went back to Asgard for the female Loki or Sylvie? What did you think of that? And obviously there's a connection between her now and the judge.
B-15.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, I was watching it with my wife. Like, oh, good, we're gonna get to see Asgard. Cool. I was like, oh no, we're getting to see little Sylvie. And then like she says later in the episode, what was my Nexus event? What was so important you took me? And then Ravonna says, I don't remember. And it's like, yeah, I don't think so. So, I mean, it's all very intriguing stuff because, they wipe out an entire timeline when they took her away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like they're committing mass genocide every time they take a variant.
I'm really starting to see. I mean, we were guessing before this happened, though, at the same time that it was getting to the point where they were the bad guy in this.
Yeah.
So we were seeing that, just like we saw that in WandaVision. With the guy I always forgot his name of.
Mephisto?
No, the dude that was in charge of the sword.
Oh, that's right. Now you made me forget his name.
I always forgot, but just like that, we were knowing something was going on, just like we do right here.
Yeah, I mean, they subvert your expectations, and I enjoy that. So, I mean, you kind of saw it coming, but they did it in a really great way.
Mm-hmm.
And, probably someone is out there complaining about Sylvie, how, she'll make Loki look like a fool, which I don't agree with. Or that she's too much about female empowerment, which I don't agree with. I like her, you know. So far, they haven't made it about her being some wild, crazy, kick-ass female, but which she is, but it's just like, she's a female Loki variant in the story.
I have not felt one time yet that she is over Loki that we know. I haven't felt that way yet in this. In fact, I probably still have Loki over Sylvia. Not by much, but I think he is still up there.
Yeah. And now they keep saying that she's this super dangerous whatever. Well, maybe she is. We don't know why she's so important yet. And I doubt the reason is going to be, oh, because she's a female. Yeah, that's not going to be the answer. So let's wait and see what their reasoning is for making her this great threat. Which, again, I just think she's a pretty cool character so far.
Yeah, I agree. Morbius at the middle part of it, he starts questioning some things.
Yeah, I love Owen Wilson. I just really like him. So I was glad to see him back this episode. If there's one minus from the last episode, it's that we didn't have him. So yeah, you can, for whatever reason, he and Loki he likes Loki. You know, he just does. At least this variant of Loki. And when he finally gets Loki and Sylvie back after they almost perished from that planet being destroyed, you can tell like Loki is finally leveling with him. Like, look, you know, and a spoiler, this is a big spoiler. He tells him what Sylvie revealed to Loki is like, you're a variant. You're all variants. Everyone that works here are variants. You had a life. Timekeepers.
Can't watch the episode now.
Yeah, you're out. Snooze, you lose, brother.
Well, Sam says he likes actually Sylvie and Loki's dynamic. They're a better duo than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Owen Wilson kills it. I'm so pleased with the show. I agree. I think this has been great.
Sam, I totally agree 100% with what you said. And in fact, we'll see how Loki ends, but for right now, Falcon and Winter Soldier is a distant third in my rating for the first 3 Disney Plus shows, or Marvel shows.
I think the only thing that somewhat saves Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and man, I might get crushed for this, but I still think Sebastian Stan, his performance was amazing. And then the hopes of the Thunderbolts. Yeah. That's the only 2 things that can...
Well, and also
John Walker!
The introduction of John Walker, I think, was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
A B character. I don't know. Maybe even a C character.
Never say that, Ref. Never say that.
Okay, B character. B plus. So I think it would be pretty exciting to have. I just get really excited about those smaller.
Oh, they cause me the most excitement aside from Superman. So, but and we won't get on Falcon and Winter Soldier. Just one more point I want to say about that series. And it's yet to be revealed about Loki, but I felt like Falcon and Winter Soldier ended kind of with not a thud, but with a Whereas WandaVision ended so strong, and I feel like Loki is really ramping up. And if it sticks the landing, it's like, man, that's going to be great. Where Falcon just ended in a, okay.
Exactly. And right now, I'm still putting WandaVision ahead of Loki, but I am enjoying Loki. I was worried about Loki, like a lot, but I'm enjoying it way more than I thought I would, to be honest with you.
Well,
yeah, I agree.
I'm taking my personal bias against Loki as a character, in maybe just probably from my comic reading. That there's probably 100 characters I would have put before a Loki show, and I
agreed.
I think Ace and I probably lamented about that when it came out. Is like, when the titles came out, like, God, man, there's a bajillion characters they could have done. But yeah, I mean, you put Owen Wilson in there. Tom Hiddleston is amazing. Like, I mean, I don't dislike him in the cinematic universe, but I mean, I would agree after the first episode, me and my grumblings after that first episode, like, I feel like the second and third have been spot on. They don't get my juices pumping for superhero stuff, but it's kind of unique in its own, I think. I think you guys say, is sci-fi.
Sam just made an interesting point, and I think this is a good way to look at it. Out of all the 3 that have been on there so far, he says he's predicting some major awards for Loki. I think WandaVision has a chance for some stuff also. just because of how they did that. But I don't think Falcon and the Winter Soldier has a chance for anything.
No, nor should it. I mean, the quality of Falcon and Winter Soldier is evident, and it's just not quite there. Where they are really putting in some good stuff with the other two.
But don't think like we would normally think in judging a show like this. Falcon and the Winter Soldier had the most obvious SJW lines and themes, so our media is probably going to play that up.
Not wrong. Yeah, well, it will be interesting to see what they do. You're right, and I think for most anyone that can watch all three, whatever you think of the show or the characters, you would have to say like, well, there was more skill behind two of the three as opposed to the third one. But you're right, the one that will probably get the acclaim and the it's so brave and breaking barriers will be Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we'll see. Time will tell.
All right, so let's push forward. What did you think would happen to Morbius?
Oh my gosh, my wife and I were watching that, and my wife goes, "What? They just killed Owen Wilson!"
Exactly. I mean, all of us thought this, right?
They killed Owen Wilson.
Sorry, spoiler.
Spoiler.
Jesus H.
Hey guys, rewind the.
If you're just joining us, we can't keep saying spoiler every time here.
Yeah. We've got perpetual spoilers for the next few minutes.
Yep, he's dead.
So yeah, I mean that was like, whoa. To backtrack slightly, Mobius finds out that he switches his whatever decoder, I don't know what the hell it is, with Ravonna.
Yep.
And he ends up looking at the footage of that agent who was captured, and Sylvie had revealed her past self to her. And okay, so Loki had said, "Your variants." Now he has the proof. He kind of thought something was up with Loki's statement, and now he believes it. So he goes and gets Loki out of his time loop, and he gets busted, or they get busted by Ravonna, and boom. He's what do they call it?
What do they call
it? Oh, come on, what is it?
What do they call it, Sam? It's
deplatformed.
He got tased, basically, it looks like, but it's
all right. He got tased
combusted
into nothingness.
Yeah. But
that was shocking.
Yeah, it was shocking. And then, were you more shocked what was coming up here pretty quick when they were taking them to jail? I did. Okay, this is another thing that Az complained about when they're, and again, man, I feel like they're trying to figure out ways to complain. And it was just, a little joking thing that Loki said, "Why do I have less security guarding me than Sylvie has?"
Oh, I know, that was so horrible.
But they did. They said, that's what he said. He was like, "Yep, see, there it is. They're doing this again."
Oh my gosh.
I thought it was hilarious. I mean, I did.
It's just watch the show, man.
So they all go in there and somehow they escape. Sylvia does her thing. They're meeting the time keepers. What'd you think?
I called this next part. I called it. Wizard of Oz.
It was gigantically.
Yeah.
So ruin Ref's night again.
Oh, spoiler! So yeah, they get in there and they fight. Well, no, it looks like they're going to be judged. We finally meet the timekeepers. All three of them are there. We see them in person. They look kind of cool, actually. The first one that's blue, just as a side note, is as how I would have thought Grandmaster should have looked in the Thor movie instead of just Jeff Goldblum. But whatever. So yeah, we don't know what's going to happen to him, but it looks like it's nothing good. And then Judge B-15 comes in, and Sylvie has revealed to her that she's a variant, and she knows it's true. So she comes in and gives them an opportunity to survive. So fighting ensues.
And?
Well, they defeat all the judges, And I don't know, was it Loki or Sylvie who actually
Sylvie.
threw the? It was Sylvie, yeah. He threw the sword and chopped off one of their heads, and I don't know if it was Wizard of Oz or Willy Wonka style, but
Don't look behind the curtain.
don't look behind the curtain. Well, the head rolls down the hill, and it's a robot head. It's an animatron. It's an animatron. And at that point, it's like, oh shit.
Some big predictions now, though. With
Oh,
that
yeah.
part.
Oh yeah, it's like, okay, all right.
Doesn't
I
this
think I see
open
where
the
this is
door up
going.
even more for Kang?
Well, if it isn't Kang, I mean, that would make zero sense.
Do we
So-
have to see Kang and Loki, or are they still going to wait for that on a big movie?
It's a great question. I mean, if he's not visibly seen, it'll be like a, I don't know, maybe from behind you see him, or someone refers to him
It
as
could-
Kang.
Yeah, it could be a Thanos type thing. Like we should. I mean, how many movies
Yeah.
did it take before we
Right.
saw old Ball Chin? So-
Yeah, Bald Chin did make his bald chin first appearance in Avengers, so but yeah, that was super revealing. But then you're like, okay, the next scene, he's kind of talking to Sylvie and gonna pretty much tell her he's got feelings for her.
Yeah.
And then the unthinkable happens.
Boom! Right in the back.
Right in the back, Loki is
Dead.
deplatformed. He's deplatformed from social media.
Just like Mobius.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, Loki's been disintegrated, so obviously Mobius isn't dead. There's no way Loki isn't.
Did you think
Loki's
that right
dead.
away, or did you have any feeling at all?
I was 90% sure Loki's not dead. I'm like, no, they're not gonna go that far. They're not gonna make Sylvie the star of, even though she's a Loki. They're just not gonna do that. So
Okay, Sam says, don't start that. Last time everyone was looking for Mephisto and Nightmare. Don't start that speculation on Kang.
no, I know we shouldn't. This one just is so in your face, but you might be right. You check your expectations. So then, after that, what do we got? Was that
Well,
the end?
That was the end. Basically, there was a fight. Was there anything right
Yeah.
after Loki did that? I think there was. Yeah, there was another fight where she could have done the same thing to the judge,
Yes.
but she didn't.
Yes. And then that was the end of the episode.
That was the
but
end.
we have
Or
a
was it?
post-credit scene. We've got a post-credit scene.
And it's
Yes.
Loki waking up, and I was surprised that he said, first thing, am I in hell?
Yeah, because it's like, does Asgard have hell?
Yeah,
I guess they do.
that's what I was sort of.
Yeah.
So what'd you think?
This was super exciting. Boom, we've got. Well, I guess if someone wants to help out, I'm honestly not sure who that fella on the left is.
With the hammer?
I guess he's a Black Thor.
I think he's a Loki variant.
It makes more sense to have 3 Lokis there, because then we finally got Kid Loki. Finally, we got Kid Loki, who I think is going to stick around. And then this one threw me, though. We have a 60s, 70s classic era Loki, like the older, because Loki was always drawn as looking kind of old, like in the John
this guy's for sure.
Buscema, yeah, John Buscema era. You're like, Loki was drawn kind of ugly. He was the bad guy. He was supposed to not look as handsome as Thor. He looked like a older, kind of just ugly guy, and this is exactly that. So I was like, wow, that was a hell of an ending. Hell of an ending.
The old dude is so funny because of his look on his face, and the yellow spandex looks just like basically Depends. I mean, it is horrible looking, and
I love it.
if you notice in the background behind him, and I don't know if you noticed it, do you notice what building that is?
I didn't, man. I've only seen it once. I need to go back and
It's
check
the
it out.
Avengers Tower.
It
all
is
crushed.
okay.
Like, everything in the background is vandalized basically and falling apart.
Well, so we saw a quick scene in one of the Loki trailers of just the Avengers Tower destroyed. So this must be that. Okay,
This is
that's
where
cool.
they are then.
Yeah, yeah. So this is going to be real interesting to find out what this is. So
So we got 2 episodes left.
we have 2 episodes left.
The
And let me
rumor.
add.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go. Well, I was just going to say, and take him with a huge grain of salt, but
Oh no,
I'm
you're
kind of
sounding like somebody else now.
well, I know, but Geekosity, Mikey Sutton. I mean, he swears that he got look. He goes, look, man, I was given some video footage from one of my sources. There's no context for it. It's just I saw it. They sent it to me over the phone. It's Owen Wilson spouting lines on set, and he's talking about Kang, and it made it sound like he was Kang.
Really?
He goes, I don't know. He goes, I don't know what that is, what it means, but I saw the video footage. Does it make the cut? I don't know, but I saw it.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, maybe he's talking. I don't know. I mean, we know Kang is like a minimum of 4 different characters in the Marvel Universe, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Now, the rumor I heard, and you can tell me if you've heard this or you're saying differently, but Loki is one of the only ones that has already had a second season signed.
You know what? I don't know that it's been official now.
Okay,
but
but that's what the rumor is.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the rumor is that Loki, no one said WandaVision's getting a second season. It's like there may be a spiritual sequel to Falcon and Winter Soldier where it's Winter Soldier and something else. It may be called Nomad. Yeah, I've heard Loki is gonna have a season 2, so we'll see.
And then the other crazy rumor, and Grace actually is one that said this, that she thinks Owen Wilson is just another Loki variant. And that's why he is in charge of always finding all these Loki variants.
It could be. It could be. I just think he's, how he's all fixated on the jet skis in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a variant from the 90s. They plugged him out of that time, and those are things that he loved from his life. But he could also be a variant of Loki, so that could be interesting.
All right. You got anything else on this one?
No, I mean, I'm loving Loki. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I know Tom Hiddleston said that this episode and episode 5 really changed things up, and he was excited to see the fans' reaction to these next 2 episodes. So I think episode 5 is going to be another game changer.
Sam can't stand Grace. He says,
yeah, she's a
different cat.
She's boy. I sometimes hate watch her, but anyway. Hey, one last little thing about Loki. Did you catch the throwaway line where Owen Wilson says, we've had gods, titans, and vampires, so we're like, vampires are
Guess
coming.
Who's coming?
Yeah, vampires are on their way.
And by the way, this is way off the deep end, but I don't think they would have done this if it wasn't going to happen soon. I sent you that video of all the new Fortnite skins for Marvel, and Blade was one of them.
Yeah, Blade has got to be. They have to announce a date soon. For
Ghost Rider was one.
Yeah, I think Ghost Rider is going to be a Disney Plus thing, and Blade's going to be a feature thing. So, we'll see, man. I'm excited, but yeah, Loki's a thumbs up for me so far. So
I love it.
Can't wait for next week. Yeah.
Now this is weird that we're going to go into. This is going to segue into the MCU. What we're going to talk about, and
we're basically contradicting ourselves.
Yeah, I feel we have said this before here, but I feel this is the biggest chance DC has ever had in these next 2 years to gain any kind of ground on Marvel, because I think Marvel is in serious trouble right now, and as you can see on the thumbnail, we have them on a sinking ship, and I think they could be sinking right now.
Yeah, let's and Ref, you chime in here now that we're past Loki, but let's and I want to take personal feelings aside because I really like Loki a lot. But since WandaVision, I think you had a bit of a deflated response at the end of that one from fans where I go back and say, okay, hey, if I take away all the conspiracy things that I was banking on, it's a damn good show.
Yep.
But really, Falcon and the Winter Soldier felt a step down, and then the thud of the finale. I think you got a distinct lack of buzz on Loki. I don't know how the streams are, but I hear a lot of negativity from streamers. The buzz doesn't seem to be there. You have zero buzz on Eternals, a muted buzz on Shang-Chi, and we'll get into some other things. Yes, Black Widow has 84% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, but go in and read some of the reviews. There's a lot of complaining in there, and they always give Marvel the benefit of the doubt and say, well, it kind of sucked, but I'll give it an 8 out of 10, is
Right.
basically the gist.
Yeah.
So it does concern me.
I think Sam, what he just said, it hits the nail on the head. Marvel is busy trying to appeal to an audience that's not going to be satisfied with anything they do.
Yeah.
Instead of the audience that just loves what they are and always have been. And we're
chasing the Twitter trolls.
And we're the ones that pay the money to go to the movies.
And we're also the ones that'll check out if we get too disgusted. So,
and this next thing that's going up, what we're hearing on Black Widow, that nobody's talking about that have already seen it. I don't know if they've been told not to say anything or what, but there's several reviews out there that they've said they've seen the movie. But they're not really talking about this part, and it's huge. And sorry, this is a big spoiler. Taskmaster isn't just Nerf Sam. Taskmaster, they're saying, is a female.
Yeah, it's Olga. Look up the actress. I've seen her a bunch of things. She's a character. Anyway, Olga is supposedly Taskmaster. Of course it is. Of course that's what they decided to do. I had a gut feeling from day one that freaking Taskmaster would not be what we thought. And the thing that people are saying, and I think even Grace said this, everyone's favorite, said they're pulling an Iron Man 3. I'm like, son of a bitch.
What pisses me off, I'm on Marvel's website, Marvel Unlimited, and it's where they're giving the biography of characters and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It says, Taskmaster, 6'2", 220 pounds, gender, male. The first sentence, the man who would become Taskmaster. What do you think you're doing when you say that? And then the first thing we see, where I'm excited about seeing finally on the big screen, Taskmaster. And you're changing it from a male to a female. Like we shouldn't know that that's the case.
It's like, and for what and why? Look, you know what? I hope when we see the movie, we're wrong, or that's not what it is either. If that's true, I'll eat my words and be happy about it. But again, here we are chasing that audience. Like Sam says, an audience of Twitter trolls that you'll never satisfy, and is a tiny little fraction of your audience. They're louder than a lot of them, but they're tiny.
But they're so loud that they weren't even going one way or the other to the movie anyway. I mean, they weren't.
No. Or they're like, I won't go to your movies. Or it's the flip side. I won't go to your movies unless you start having diversity and blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. You were going to go watch it. You're just saying on Twitter you're not going to watch it. So cut the crap.
And again, people can take this wrong on me saying that I'm mad that a female is now a role. I'm not mad about female characters because I like a lot of female characters. What I'm mad at is that you took an established male character and decided to make that character now female. If you would have made a brand new character or introduced a female villain, I would have been just as excited to watch the movie as I
got
was
3 female
this.
villains. Yeah, I got 3 female villains just popped in my head. Like, why don't you use Sin, Red Skull's daughter? Why don't you use this kick-ass Cap villain, Snapdragon? Although she's kind of a hero now, you could have done Diamondback. It's like 3 amazing characters. Use them. Why are you going to change Taskmaster? For what?
I don't get the one of it besides just filling a blank that you needed to fill.
Yep. Yeah, we're just checking boxes.
I,
Ref, what are your thoughts on all that, man?
Well, I mean, I think maybe possibly the cool thing is, if Taskmaster was a male, a female superhero beating the shit out of a male. I mean, what's more empowering than a female superhero beating the shit out of a male?
Right. Like, why didn't you just keep it like that? Ultimately, Black Widow's going to win. So.
And we talked about that, though, before this. We talked about that before this, that it's not like we haven't seen Black Widow get hit by a male character already.
I know.
We've seen the fights already. So if they're worried about a male hitting a female, it doesn't make sense because they've already done it.
Yeah, that makes no sense. That can't have been a reason. I mean, I guess, who knows? But I'm gonna love to see their argument for this. I think this is where the danger lies. Feige's went 100% woke, and I'm just saying it. He has. I don't know if he's just catering to the audience or if this is truly what he wants, but I think they're going to be unpleasantly surprised when numbers start to fade, box office revenue starts to fade, interest starts to fade, and you get the fans like, hell, I really love Sam as Falcon. I don't really give a crap about making him Captain America. Or who are these Eternals? What? Shang-Chi, I guess. I mean, I gotta say, like, I love Shang-Chi. I'm super excited for that movie. I don't know that is it really appealing to people that aren't MCU fans? I don't see it though.
I'm gonna tell you, I think
no one knew.
Snake Eyes is gonna hurt him. Snake Eyes, in my opinion, coming in right around. Isn't it coming in right around Shang-Chi?
July 23rd to September 2nd or something like that.
I think that's gonna hurt him. That's gonna hurt him a lot. I
think it could, like, hey, we've already seen a kick-ass Asian type cinema movie on the big screen, but hey, well, Snake Eyes has to be good. So
I agree.
If it sucks, then it really won't matter. But and you can't count Marvel out
because it's still Marvel.
But it's still Marvel. So,
do you think they have taken the scorched earth with the U.S. market and just said, hey, Shang-Chi is going to appeal to the Chinese? I mean, like, let's blow our load and just kind of appeal to a market we know is going to eat the shit out of this.
Well, you are 150% correct. However, I don't really know that this is true, but apparently there's been a backlash in China against the movie, saying, "Oh, it's just the West trying to, coast on our coattails or whatever, or copying us and
take some of our heritage, basically, and make it yours."
Yeah, it's like, we don't want your whatever you're making. Don't try to copy us. So, and then there's rumors that China won't even release it. Now, why? I don't know. And I don't know that those rumors are true, but that was definitely out there. So this could be, Ref, like you said, their big salvo to, like, hey, we're mostly trying to appeal to China here and get those China dollars, and it could backfire big league.
Big league.
Are you, huge. Out of big all league. Of them right now, what one are you worried about the most that is coming up for the MCU?
Black Widow.
I think And when you say worried, Coach, what do you mean? Like,
What is going
just
to
that it'll
hurt them the
flop, or
most that if it flops, it actually does take some armor off of the Marvel way?
I think Ref is right. I think what I feel like I think what Black Widow is going to come out initially, people are going to be excited, and then it's going to kind of start to show a chink in the armor. And then I think Shang-Chi's going to be like, well, but it didn't get released in China, so we're going to give it an asterisk. I think I'm most worried for Eternals coming out, and people are like, this is strike 3, guys. This is like, you've had 3 stinkers in a row, and the only thing that can save us now is Spider-Man.
Yeah. Man, if you have 3 bad ones right before Spider-Man will save you.
It will.
But, man, this whole year, in all honesty, just sucked for you.
Well, and let's just play what if. You know, it's like, hey, they're vulnerable. Let's pounce, DC. I mean, I know we haven't planned to talk about this, but there was just some promo art today on The Flash, and I'm like, yeah, I want that movie yesterday. There's a bunch of new hero cameos. Basically, Ezra Miller said there's a kind of a depowered Justice League or a weaker Justice League that kind of forms in this to try to help save things. So, let's think maybe a Green Arrow or an Hour Man coupled with an older Batman and him to try to save things. I'm like, damn, that sounds super exciting.
Sam says 2 things. Shang-Chi has a chance of being epically bad or surprisingly good. He says he does not like the change of the 10 rings.
Nah, I know. It just feels unnecessary, doesn't it? Like, why do that again? I mean, couldn't you do the standard rings? But whatever.
At the same time, the hard thing about movies, and we have noticed this with TikTok videos. Like, we'll say something comic book based on a TikTok video, and you have so many arguments on people that have never seen or never have read the comic. It's always about what they saw in the movies, and that's what they feel is real.
Yeah, solely based on the movie, and it's like, well, yeah, that's true for the movie, but it's not really true overall, guys. So, yeah.
So, are they worried about the comic book reader anymore by changing 10 rings?
No, not at all. I mean, come on, let's imagine you're Kevin Feige, and you've had the massive success you have had. You are a human being susceptible to ego and whatever else, and you're like, F you, we can do what we want. So I can pretty much act on whatever whim I want to, and it's going to be success.
And then Sam says if it all flops, Kevin Feige will just claim it's not canon.
Yeah, that'd be an easy out. But
man, they're putting some money behind Shang-Chi and Eternals.
Yeah. Oh, and here was the other thing that this is China, Hollywood's favorite buddy, the murdering mongers that are China. They were complaining that, and I can't remember the actor, Simu Liu. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name. Guy who plays Shang-Chi. He wasn't classically handsome enough. He did not display the beauty of the Chinese people. Well, and they were complaining about it.
That's funny you said that, because Sam also said that. They're saying it's not true to what Chinese people consider to be attractive.
Yep.
If we said that, if the United States said that,
nuclear bomb.
Holy crap.
Yeah. We live in crazy times. That's all I know.
All right. Is Ref gone? Because the next topic is his.
Ref, what else you got, man? Let's
Is he gone? What do we got?
He must have been.
What do we got?
Must have been kicked out of the game.
What do we got after that? It says he's muted, so he's still here.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I don't know what else to say about, the whole situation with Marvel, but let's get philosophical for a moment. Every good thing must end. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nothing can stay this popular. Nothing stays this popular forever. There will come a time where it dips. I don't think it'll ever go away, but you can't ride that wave. It just doesn't.
I think that's a good point.
Eventually everything is going to dip in popularity. And I feel like after Endgame and with what they have presented to us, I feel like that time is coming and it's good to prepare. I'm just hoping that it won't be so bad that it wipes out the MCU and
Yeah.
the interest just nosedives and takes a hair metal band of the 80s. Like, when Nirvana came out,
Pearl
hair metal
Jam
was
is all
dead.
gone. Just done.
It wasn't like a slow fade. They were dead overnight.
There
So
he is.
I don't hope that doesn't happen with the MCU.
Yeah, and if it does, we as comic book fans, we better hope that DC does pick it up on their end right when it does.
It could be a real opportunity for the narrative to switch to, oh my gosh, thank goodness for DC and look what they've got. Because they got it, like we said, they got a super strong lineup.
Or at the same
Yes.
time, manga is gonna even be bigger than ever. They're gonna crush us. But
Man,
Hey, as anybody, have we talked, and we haven't talked when I've been on here about the new Titans trailer and being excited about the Titans show coming on. Like, I've been pretty juiced about that.
I love Titans.
yeah, I mean, I'm probably the least excited for Titans of the three of us. But I'll certainly be there the first night it comes on, and I am very excited to see Red Hood. I'm extremely excited about that.
I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And then
You're right.
I'm telling you, and Ref, I hope you watch this. If nobody has watched Superman and Lois, I'm telling you, you got to. It's like a must.
I really wish it was not on CW, because I feel like it gets tainted by the stink of the rest of the shows, and people are like, oh, Superman, it's on CW. No thanks.
Are you
I hated
worried
him on Supergirl?
Are you worried at all that all this HBO Max and DC stuff is WB is now maybe splitting, and will they keep doing the budget for Superman and Lois that they are?
Yeah, they will, because Discovery is going to pump even more money. AT&T was kind of getting cheap and not wanting to spend as much as Warner was asking for these shows. And Discovery's already said, yeah, they've already tripled what they were willing to spend. So yeah, it's only going to be a good thing.
Good. I love it.
Yeah, it's incredible. Brings a tear to my eye.
Uh-oh. Sam just went, Titans, Ref, are you drunk? You talking about Tiger Boy and Half-Ass Robin?
Oh, them be fighting words.
I like Titans. I did. I thought Titans was great.
I know both. I know Coach really likes Titans, and I know Ref likes Titans pretty well. I think he and I agree there's some issues though, but what's your favorite? Well, go ahead. Tell us about Titans.
What's my favorite what?
I was just going to ask you, kind of, what are you of some of the HBO Max, or DC streaming platform, what were some of your favorite live action shows, like Doom Patrol or Stargirl? I mean, did you have a favorite one?
Stargirl was good. I don't know, and this is probably just personal preference because I like the mystical characters, but Swamp Thing was pretty awesome in my mind.
So good.
Other than pooping on Phantom Stranger,
that was not. Don't ever say that. That was not Phantom Stranger.
You're just a chubby guy in a boat.
We call him Swamp Stranger.
Yeah.
Swamp butt.
Swamp.
I think this is a good topic. Okay, so out of everything right now, try to suggest a show for people to watch that they might not be watching.
You've got to watch Doom Patrol. That's a must. That show is crazy good. It's weird as hell, but it's worth it, man. It's good.
Okay. Well, I got to watch that now.
Ref, what? I mean, you love Stargirl. I love Stargirl.
Well, anytime you pay homage to the JSA, I'm going to
Yeah.
love you. I mean, like again, in the comic books, are we still waiting for JSA? I wasn't it about 3 years ago that they kind of got us excited, like, hey, JSA is coming back.
Yeah, they're teasing it again, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, they can eat a fart. Like seriously, like it.
Yeah, true story. True story.
I mean, like seriously, like JSA is. If you want to make a woke line of comics, do it. But give us some of the classic golden age stuff. Get us some of the get back to the bare bones Jeff Johns awesomeness.
I
Or
know.
you know, even Mark Waid before he went totally nuts.
Yeah.
He
Gosh.
I mean, as nuts as he is politically and personally, like I don't really see that. He's not a Nick Spencer or Taisha Coates, like where you see it in the writing.
I agree. Yeah, usually he still can do quality writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say Alex Ross is kind of a nutto, but like you don't see that in his stuff either.
No. Yeah.
So like you can be that way, but come on, man. Like give me back what what I fell in love with the comics.
I
Like
know.
give me a breath of fresh air.
Well, like some of the streamers have said, and I agree with this, is the people in charge at DC and Marvel right now hate you, and they hate me, and they hate Coach. They don't want us as fans. They're not who
They hate you too, Sam.
Them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean they hate us because we like our comics the way they've been for the last 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean you can't have some political things every now and then. You can have whatever kind of diversity. Great, good, that's awesome, but don't make it a checkbox. Make them awesome characters and give us kick-ass action.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ref said, JSA Comic had all kinds of diversity. One of the greatest books ever. So give us that, but they don't want to do that. And so therefore we got to go. We don't want you here. We don't care that we don't sell any comics. We don't care.
That's sad. Well, I want to watch Stargirl. I started watching it with the family, and we haven't been watching it. The family loves Superman and Lois, by the way. The last episode, good. My son was jumping up and down like crazy excited the whole time. So.
Oh, yeah, it's so good, man.
Yeah. And other than that, I really like Titans. I think if you haven't watched it, go for it.
Yeah, really, all those. Superman's by far number one, but Doom Patrol's amazing. Some people hate Titans, but there's a lot of fans out there for it. Watch Titans, and then I can't recommend Stargirl enough. I mean, it's not Superman good, but it's darn good.
Yes, Sam. There's a Stargirl show. It's on HBO Max. The episode I watched, I really liked. Just trying to get the family to all watch it at the same time is sort of hard.
It's really well done. The effects are higher than your typical CW show because it started out as a DC streaming service show, so the budget was a little higher. And
I can't recommend Stars and Stripes comic by Jeff Johns enough. Like, I mean, if you want to get juiced about the Stargirl show, go read that, and also know the backstory behind it, and and I think we talked about it one time with Jeff Johns' sister dying in a car or in a plane crash, and making this character totally based on her. So
yeah, that's a great book, really great book.
Okay, Sam makes a great point. I'm thinking marketing is killing Stargirl. He didn't even know about it.
Agreed. You're not wrong. I mean, it went from the
DC
streaming service. Yeah, they do. It went from the streaming service, and then got sucked into the CW. So I am super worried about season 2, and the CW shenanigans. But hey, if Superman and Lois can be done, I've got hope.
All right, ref.
All right, man.
You're
up, sir.
You are up.
We have our third topic of the night.
We're gonna go a little philosophical, guys. And also, as a therapist, meaning making. So one of the things that I like to bring up, and I probably like to ask Coach and Ace, and I'll brush up on my opinion. But what makes a comic awesome? And I know that seems like a simple concept, but I think different people have different answers with concern to that. Can you have a most beautifulest comic ever with like the best art ever, and Grant Morrison, tripping on acid, writing it? Like, would you enjoy that? Or would you enjoy, a John Romita Jr.? I know Ace is going to throw something at my face, but would you enjoy like a sketchy or a Rob Liefeld drawn comic?
Darkseid is coming for you.
He
gonna
kill already.
He gonna kill you.
Oh,
hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your husband.
I am super jelly. I can't wait for my Darkseid to come in.
I know. It's pretty excited.
Yes. But what makes a comic most enjoyable for anybody? And I'll kind of go into what I like when picking out a comic. I can even deal with subpar art. I'm not an artist. Never claimed to be an artist. I can't draw worth a shit. I mean, I can do some stick figures and whatnot.
Those are
fun.
But
yeah. But like, as long as you're giving me a good storyline and something halfway decent to look at, I'm good. But the most important to me is character development. That is why Jeff Johns, that is why Jeff Lemire, that is why some of, even Kurt Busiek, like, people who can make these characters likable. Like, I can float back and tell you about some of it's kind of where I fell in love with Booster Gold. It's not necessarily that Booster Gold. There it is. It's gotta be
sucking on that Booster T.
We're still waiting for that origin from him.
I know.
That's right.
One of these days, TikTok fans.
I love Booster.
But like, that's where I fell in love with Booster. Like, okay, some of his villains he fought weren't the craziest and awesomeness, and the art was, I would say, it was pretty decent.
Stan Jurgens, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and then later it was Norm Brieform, I think is his name, Brieford, and but his backstory is is just what caught me. Not only his backstory, but the theme of him, the theme of Booster, like his idea, the idea of Booster Gold is this guy that is constantly trying to break his name, to get into, a place where of notoriety. So I would like to ask, and please put some comments out there. I'd like to ask, like, what makes a good comic for you? I think there are some people out there that would read crappy stories to just see really good art. Sometimes I don't mind. Sometimes I don't mind thumbing through some crappy stories to see good art. That's okay. But I'm probably Tanisha Coates, like some of that Black Panther stuff, or even some of the most recent Captain America stuff. Terrible stories, terrible writing.
Well,
but it was pretty.
Political stuff aside, he's just a terrible comic writer. Mm-hmm. He's a commentary. He's a political commentary writer. Mm-hmm. He's not a comic writer, so he has no idea how to write a comic.
In no way, shape, or form.
I I'll talk next because Josh, I know you could go for an hour on this topic, but as a new reader to comics, not like new, there's some that I've always read, but like a newer branching out, it's like a girl. The artwork looks pretty and it draws your interest. But I'm telling you, if the story is not good, I can't keep reading just because the artwork is good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably say something I probably shouldn't. So the one we got on First Man, I was excited because I thought the artwork looked tremendous.
If you're watching, we love you, Andy.
I did not read a fourth of it, and I can't. It's not good. And so no matter how great the artwork is, I can't even read the freaking whole book. And it's not a big book.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel.
Yeah, and I won't talk forever, guys, but I can read a comic for just the art. And I can read a comic that has a super great story and it has crappy art. But to me, neither one is as fulfilling as if you can have both. And sometimes that feels like the holy grail because I don't, when I'm sitting here thinking as Ref is talking and I'm like, it's really hard for me to find that book that has both. It doesn't happen as often as you might think. And everyone's art preference is their own preference. You know what I mean? So like some people,
the style that you like.
Yeah. Like I've always thought Bill Sienkiewicz, I think that's how you say his name. I hate his art, but people look at him as like one of the all-time greats. That's why I could never stand New Mutants in the 80s because he had that horrible abstract looking art. It just isn't for me. And I know people love it, but it's just not for me. So it's hard to find that. So you're really finding that combination of a Jeff Johns and an Ivan Reis for me is like that's just where you want to savor those comics and almost keep them in a special box because it's hard to find that combination that really hits the spot for art and story.
Yeah.
Like Ben Ref is right. Black Hammer to me is an example of amazing story with kind of shit art, really. But it's so good you kind of just overlook it, and I think it's supposed to be kind of just I think that's the style they're going for, but it's everyone's preference. But when I read a comic, I want that Ivan Reis, George Perez style that's clean, clear. Ethan Van Sciver. That's really that's what I enjoy the most is that type of art with a Jeff Johns serious tone action.
So do you think that's why you both enjoy Green Lantern as much as you do is because you had Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver doing a lot of it together?
For me, yeah.
That's where I fell in love with Hal Jordan is the Rebirth. The art was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The writing was, probably some of the best I've ever read. Like, Jeff Johns could make the shitty, he can make a character with the shittiest abilities and, the lamest backstory, and he can make them pretty awesome. Booster Gold in my mind
cool
was
how I can
awesome.
Do that,
and then Jeff Johns touched him, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's great. I can get behind that. So
I think this is another whole topic that we could do a whole nother show on. Is basically who are the writers that are must go look at writers? Who are your artwork people? And then illustrators, and then like you're saying, what's the combination of both together? Are you saying are must books to go get? Like this, you have to get. I think that could be a really cool.
I think that's what made DC Rebirth so amazing for me because they had Gary Frank on art, and
Gary Frank,
Jeff Johns. along with Jeff Johns.
So
Like,
good.
I mean,
So good.
and that's what made Shazam the what was it, the Seven Kingdoms or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what made that run. You know, Jeff Johns writing with Gary Frank art. Like, Gary Frank is amazing. Jeff Johns is amazing.
Gary Frank is next
One of the
level.
best.
Read Geiger. If you've not read Geiger, go get it right now. Jeff Johns, Gary Frank. But, you know, for me, another book is like, it gets so much acclaim, and it's the one character that Marvel does consistently get right. I don't know what it is. They always kind of find a good team on Daredevil. And I mean, Frank Miller on Daredevil was so good. His art is literal shit right now. I don't know, but he can't draw to save his life now, or he chooses to draw like that, and it's atrocious. But man, that early 80s stuff on Daredevil, the kinetic movements that he put in Daredevil and Electro and Bullseye, is you know, I can go back and reread those, and they continue to hold up. Just so good.
And even when Bendis took over Daredevil, like, I loved his writing, but you know, that's where we got into a storyline that I loved, but I also didn't like because of I'm not a huge fan of Alex Maleev's art. You know,
I know he's just too static for me. But he's got his fans, but I'm not one of them. Yeah.
What happened to Rebirth? Why did they suddenly stop that?
Politics.
I mean,
internal politics.
Do you feel that if Rebirth would have kept going, is that a possibility of really charging up the comics again?
Oh, most definitely.
It was a huge hit for DC.
Yeah.
Massive. And I'll give a shout out to, and I love his podcast. He's my favorite guy, Wes from Thinking Critical. I listen to him every day.
He is good.
And I was driving up to our office that is out of town, and I listened to a whole podcast of him talking about Rebirth and what happened to Rebirth. So, you know, again, shout out to him. And it's true. I've heard it from other sources. It was an ego thing between Dan DiDio and Jeff Johns. I mean, Jeff Johns came up with this idea of getting the heroes back to hope, positivity, recapturing that DC magic, and it was a massive success. But Dan DiDio and then some other shitbaggers on the creative side of things had their own agenda and sandbagged it.
Wow.
So it ended up not being what it could have been, even though it was a very huge success. It did not last because of internal politics, which is really maddening.
That's sad. Again, what you said earlier, they don't give a shit about you or me or Ref or anybody.
They don't. They don't care. I mean, I know Jeff has made enemies on the movie side of things, but I mean, he's the guy you want as a creative person running DC. He is the guy that's going to put character first every time, because he loves those characters almost as much as he does his, you know, they're like family. So he's going to take care of them, do them right.
Yeah.
And
Ref Sam says some stuff about what makes a comic book great for him. So he says, story, Spider-Man effect, insurmountable odds stacked against a superpowered individual, seeing, reading, and the impossible and being possible. And then he says, as long as someone draws from the heart, I'm okay with the art style. And Frank Miller ruined Daredevil for any writer or artist to come in and try to attempt.
I would agree.
Well, I mean, he set the gold standard, but you've had some pretty great Daredevil runs. But yeah, I mean, you're always going to come second to that greatness. But there's a lot of good second placers. So, but
well,
yeah,
I mean,
it's tough.
I mean, because again, I mean, I think as much as I love Frank Miller, Kevin Smith had a small little itty bitty run on Daredevil, which was actually pretty good. You know,
yeah. I mean, that was actually, it was huge.
that was the Born Again. Yeah, I I mean, those books are hard to get your hands on, that Board Again run, you know.
Yeah, a
Um,
lot of visuals
so-
taken from that run and put in that '03 movie too. So yeah.
mhm, yeah. Well, and I think again, you know, going back to kind of my ideas of what makes a great comic book great, as a spiritual person, as a Christian nonetheless, um, I find, you know, that's why I find Daredevil kind of refreshing, is he deals with spiritual elements, and I'm glad they didn't shy away from that. But you know, recently we probably haven't seen much of. I mean, other than Netflix, I think Netflix hit it straight on. You know, his spiritual battle, and how to, you know, deal with those inner demons inside of him. So yeah, I Daredevil is one of my other. If I had to make a top four, Daredevil will probably be up there, and again, it's just because his character has been written so freaking well, and it's been
Yeah.
it. I mean, you know, my all my favorites are because they were handed to a writer who knew how to develop their character and who knew to make really good storylines.
Yeah.
You know, with Flash and Green Lantern Rebirth, and with Jeff Johns, and then, you know, Daredevil with Frank, and, you know, Booster with Dan Jurgens. So
Sam just said be quiet because they'll cancel Daredevil if you say that too loud.
that's true about the
Yeah.
spirituality.
Yeah, he's probably been canceled already.
Question for you, and it's a little bit back to Rebirth. So is the DC Rebirth omnibus, is it all of them?
No, I the omnibus, if I'm not mistaken, is the first issue of each Rebirth title put together.
And that's it. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's isn't it, Ref, the first big
Mhm.
Rebirth issue with Wally coming back,
Yep.
and then it's just the first issue of like Aquaman, Action, Justice League,
Yep.
Nightwing,
Okay.
all of them collected together. So you get one issue of each title that was under the Rebirth banner.
So I need to just do what I was doing and keep buying the.
You've read Rebirth, Coach, haven't you?
Just the Flash and Green Lantern.
Have you read the
Zero issue
event? The Zero issue?
No.
Okay.
That's a must read.
I've bought about 6 of those and handed those out to random people. So
really,
you'll get one on your doorstep. just because I know.
I'm excited. You made me smile.
I know. Like, there's so many comics that maybe like have brought a little tear to my eye, but that comic almost brought a tear to my eye.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ref's not wrong. There is a pretty profound moment. Granted, it probably hits harder if you're a Wally West fan and a big Flash fan.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
boy,
is that Titans Volume 1?
No.
No. Okay. I'm looking at something that said Rebirth order to read stuff in.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
You have to read the Zero issue to really understand where the Rebirth has come from.
I think that would be awesome.
That was really great. And they're setting up. I mean, Jeff was working to plant seeds all the way back then for Doomsday Clock.
Ooh,
so,
which is right,
you know,
over there.
If you wouldn't, if you didn't have the bullshit, you know, egos in the office, you would have had probably a nice, you know, stream of titles that start laying these pieces into, and then culminating in Doomsday Clock. I thought Doomsday Clock was good, but it felt like its own thing outside of anything else that was going on with DC at the time because of all the changes. So
when the run of Rebirth was going, were you feeling like you did back in the 80s and stuff, where you were excited?
Super.
Yeah, it was really good. And you know, if I can just say too, going back to Ref's initial question is,
no, sorry, Ref.
I thought the 2000s were, well, it just goes along with what you were asking too. were really strong for both companies because you had hit after hit of event, and now you have shit after shit event. But back then you had Infinite Crisis, you had all the miniseries that led up to Infinite Crisis, like Rand Thanagar War or Judgment Day on the DC side, and then Marvel was kicking ass with the first Civil War. That was like, oof. Then they came back with Secret Invasion, bang, and then Siege. That was huge. I'm forgetting another a big one too. It was like the companies were firing on all cylinders in that time, and you had great art, you had great storytelling, the events were good, and it was like, man, everyone's juices are flowing. I can remember distinctly thinking, because the early 2000s were shit, and then around, I guess, yeah, the '05 until probably 2012, 2013 maybe, and it started to backtrack again. But man, there was a time where I was super excited about comics again because of the story and art, as I was back in the '80s and '90s.
Do you feel the
Well, not '90s as much, but
do you feel the success of the movies have actually hurt the comics?
oh yeah, yeah,
And it's hard for you all because of how big of comic book fans you are. All you want were movies, big screen, and then you get it, and it actually ends up killing what you loved.
Well,
yeah.
I think that the unfortunate part is, I've seen this more in Marvel than I have DC, but is that they've adapted their comics to their movies instead of their movies to their comics. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I love, the idea of bringing Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist together as the Defenders, but the comics themselves are unreadable. Like I can go look at it on Netflix. I don't have to deal with your your already hashed out storylines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer because, my mom has even told me, like, oh, son, how it's got to be exciting for you to have all these characters on the big screen. Like, who would have thought when you were a little kid and you were reading those comics that they would be these huge movies and practically a big one every week? And she's right. I still think, like, dang, man, this is so awesome to have these characters that kind of felt like they didn't get a lot of respect, at least in our area as kids. And now they are everywhere. And despite some things going on now with, maybe we're worried about, overall, the quality's been really good.
Yeah.
And, that was always a dream to see these characters, because I think I talked about this before too. Even as a kid, watching the Hulk and then the crappy Spider-Man TV show, was like, was I excited? Yeah. Did a piece of me like, this doesn't look anywhere as cool as a comic? Well, now they look cooler than the comic. So, it's been a weird dynamic, and yeah, it's starting to be a little disappointing because now the characters on the page are sometimes unrecognizable.
Sam just says this: the changes they're making with established characters in Phase 4 is what's killing him. I mean, there's a formula that worked. Why are they changing it?
Yeah, I know. I'm worried too. It's like, and maybe we'll get killed or I'll get killed for saying this, but I'll just use Eternals as an example of, like, okay, you took the character Makari. Yeah, he is white in the comics and a male. So, that's not good. That's not cool. So then you change the character. You don't just race bend the character, which, fine, whatever. No, not good enough. You make the character a female. And you make the character deaf Marvel's hired their first female deaf actress to play a part in a Marvel movie. Oh, great. No problem with that. I think that's cool. They're going to play Makari. She's gonna play Makari. Say what? Say what now?
Hmm.
Well, you have fundamentally changed the character so much. That is not Makari. That is Makari in name only. There's no. This is not the same character. I'm sorry, it's just not. And you can get killed for saying that, whatever. But to me, it's like, if you want to introduce a new female Eternal that is whatever kind of race and deaf, I bring it on. I'm totally fine with that. Make a new character.
They can't.
I welcome it with open arms.
They can't.
They won't do it.
They can't.
You know,
They're not
what,
good
Marvel?
enough.
They don't have any creativity. So.
And you know what, Marvel and DC, you have done so well at including people and including every race, creed, and whatnot. But I am slightly disappointed that my friends, those redheads, white redheaded people, have not been represented.
They are
in
not
a TV
respected.
show. They are not. They are the new minority. Where is Cyclone and Stargirl? Where is our lovely redheaded people? Poison Ivy, she should be redheaded. Damn it!
No. This is the one that gets me. We're getting a little off topic, but to go along with that, hey, we've got a Red Sonja movie coming out. Her effing name is Red Sonja. Red. Nah. Let's cast a mixed race female with dark hair. Makes total sense. No problem. Well, she's the best actress for the role. Was she? Can't you put out a casting request that it's the best redheads to come in and read for the role?
But wait,
Crazy.
there is one character that is a redhead that we all wished was not still in the role that she is in.
Oh.
Amy Adams?
No, I like Amy Adams.
She's not really a redhead, but
She
plays
in the
one on
movie.
TV. Yeah. Amber Turd.
Yep. Now our whole YouTube just went blocked.
Right, yeah, that's the trigger word.
So that's
darn
the
it.
one we get.
Yeah, oh gosh. That's the madness of our society today, that whole situation of just hypocrisy. Whatever. But I'm calling it now. I won't be a hypocrite because I'm still going to go watch the movie.
Oh, I am too. I liked
I'll still be there.
Aquaman. I'm hoping this
I love
is
Aquaman
a really good
so
one.
much that I'll be there first day.
Okay, so comics, basically, we all agree that they're shit right now. Any new comic made is pretty much shit.
Well, 90%, yeah.
Do you see in the future, 5, 10, 15 years, will they make a rebound? Or is this just something that's going to happen because of how easy it is to have a video or anything like that now?
It's tough to say.
Is reading going away?
I don't know. Reading will never go away. I really don't believe that. Because books still sell. They just might do it digitally.
Right.
I think people are still going to read. But again, I heard today, it's like manga's having their moment right now. And the momentum is growing and gaining ground monthly. So, in that sense, yeah, that's not going to go away. I mean, people are going to read art with words on a page that they can hold. So that's exciting for that. But are the comics that we know and love that are American comics? I don't know. Will the movies and their IP of video games, movies, and animated shows just replace the American comic book? I think it is possible.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it comes back if that really happens. I really don't know. Because the price point is another thing that's killing them. $6 for a comic of 15 minutes of entertainment where I can go watch a movie for 10 and watch a grand movie on the big screen with all this action and special effects, and then, or I can just watch it at home and over and over and over again, or pay $60 for a video game that has hours and hours and hours of entertainment. So, it's hard to compete with that.
Sam just makes a good point. Reading, he thinks reading is going away. Look at manga. 2 to 3 words to 1 word balloon out of 5 panels. Not even speaking in full sentences.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have read so few manga. I'll take your word on it, but I mean, from what I've thumbed through at a bookstore, yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it, who knows? No one writes cursive anymore, so maybe we'll become. Well, maybe we'll get so stupid we'll be living in that world of Idiocracy if you've ever seen that movie, which I highly recommend.
Everything swings though in all of life. Everything is on a pendulum. It goes way on this side and then it comes back. So I see it coming back, and what you really hope is in 5+ years that something big like Rebirth happens again and they go full charge and make good comics again.
You know what? That's a great point. I mean, it could happen. Let's just live in a dream world, and the rumor that was out last summer that was crazy. Let's just say DC decides to get rid of the publishing and Robert Kirkman gets a hold of it, and Robert Kirkman and recruits some other talent, and they love and care for those characters and relaunch it, and they put the money and advertising behind it, and boom, it hits, and bang, the DC comic books are back, and the characters we all know and love are back, and treated with the respect they deserve. It could happen.
Yeah.
Well, and
It'd be amazing.
I think Ace brings up a point is I think they have to get back to the roots of actually loving and caring for those characters. Like, I mean, you have to think of those characters in their original. I mean, you can bring your own flair to a character without dismantling
exactly
their origin or their awesomeness. Like, I mean, you can say, okay, just for Booster Gold as example, like, I'm not too wild that he is hot after Harley Quinn, but like, okay, I mean, at least you're not destroying him as a character. You're still making him light and fluffy, and he
was still Booster. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the problem is like, don't take a character. If I go to write the Flash, I shouldn't write the Flash as me. That's what all these knuckleheads are doing, though. They're writing them as themselves and whatever bullshit beliefs they have, or I shouldn't say that yet. Whatever personal beliefs they have. But don't do that. Write the character as Barry Allen. That's your job. Your job is to make a quality Flash book about the Flash.
Tim Drake.
No one wants to hear a book of the Flash, but that's not the Flash. This is Ace. Or, it's like, why are you writing him as you?
Yeah.
Stop it. That's not your job.
Sam says people who don't like comic books are now making comic books.
Perfect.
It's very true.
It's so weird. Why? Why would you hate your job so much that you're writing it to make other people hate it?
But here
I'll tell you why.
And you also have a platform you can go write whatever the hell you want and publish it through. If it's good enough, if it's good enough, it'll make publishing through Image. I mean, there's been some turdly things on Image, but there's also been some good things with very unique ideas.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ace.
No, I was just going to say, it's like the people hate the comics, but it's because they're using it as a device. Half of them don't come from a comic background. They like to use the term fake geek girl. And it's like, hey, this is just an opportunity for me to wax philosophical and spout out my own personal beliefs. I don't give a shit about writing a good Nightwing story. I just want to be able to make crappy political statements. They've wanted an opportunity to do it, and they're going to use whatever vehicle they've been able to gain access to do that. and shitty editors and management have allowed it to happen. And now those same idiots are in charge, and therefore here we are. And it's almost like it needs to collapse in order for it to be reborn, Phoenix style. It's like it's not probably going to change until you remove most of those individuals. Well, how are you going to do that? Well, the whole company needs to just shut down. And I mean the publishing side of like, okay, we're just going to clean house because we're closing the doors. And maybe that's what needs to happen.
That's sad, but it's also probably very true.
I know. It is sad. I hope it doesn't happen, but I don't see how we get around or how we ever achieve getting those good comics back.
Yeah. Robert Kirkman, if you're watching.
Yeah, do something.
Pony up, man. Pony up.
Please save us.
Give them an offer they can't refuse.
I mean, guys, the last thing I'll say on it, too, though, is all the talented people who have been kicked out or are realizing, working for these guys is not a good idea. Well, guess what? They may never come back because they have found I can make my own IP. I'll sell 50,000 books and I'll make 10 times what I made working for DC or Marvel. Why the hell would I ever go back and do that? Makes no sense.
Yep.
So,
but we've discussed that before, though, too, where they don't give you now enough content, and it's just they can't create it fast enough.
No, you are right by that, but just imagine if you're the creator, like, well,
yeah,
I'm working, 20 times less because I'm only putting out 2 books a year as opposed to 12, and I'm making 10 times as much money. That's what we call a win.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You got to have hope, and as one thing is you hope these characters stay popular and relevant, and as long as they do that, then there's always going to be an opportunity. You just don't want to see like some of these characters become so irrelevant that they end up in public domain, which means that anyone can use them because no one owns them anymore because no one gave a shit about them.
That's good.
Truth.
I don't have much more. This is your spot, though, Ref. Do you got much more?
No, I think you have to really understand, because I think that's really important for you to know where to look for a comic book, and sometimes that's the hardest thing is identifying what kind of comic book you want to read. Like,
totally,
I've gone through my phases of I want to read independent books. No, now I want to read mainstream books. Now I just want to read DC books. Now I just want to read Marvel books. You have to know what you're looking for, what you're in the flavor for.
And I think that's what you and Ace really want to try to teach people too, and use this platform to teach, because I can be honest, besides like Batman and sparingly Superman, that was about my whole thing, and it can be so overwhelming. I mean, just there's so many different Captain America books. There's so many different Spider-Man books out there. I don't know who the writer would be that I would like or wouldn't like. It's just like, well, forget it. I can't read from now to the 70s and keep up with everything.
And they're ever evolving too. Like early Nick Spencer was pretty good, but then later Nick Spencer kind of got really political. So I mean, again,
you wrote that shitfest Secret Empire.
Oh, I mean, it was terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important to know, because I mean, one storyline could take you out of the loop. And one of the things that Marvel and DC, Marvel mainly, they rely too heavily on stupid. You all right there, fella?
That's COVID. No big deal.
Yeah. One of the things they rely too heavily on is big events, and they have really sucked ass at times. Marvel lately more than DC. I mean, some of their events have been hot garbage. And not only are they hot garbage, but here's Marvel's model. So when you do an event, you have to make every comic that you're writing tie into it so we can make more money. We'll just throw a wad of shit at this, and hopefully we'll make a lot of money.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's good or not.
That's going to
Just
be
do your
Marvel.
best.
That's the MCU 2021 this year.
Yeah, I mean, it really is.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about this last week about how they're creatively bankrupt. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
their ideas are like,
No
oh,
idea.
yeah, let's take Civil War and do Civil War 2. Let's do, instead of World War Hulk, let's do World War She-Hulk. That's an idea of the century. So, yeah, I mean, it's where we're at. Hey, last question I had, and this was, I think, again, brought up on Thinking Critical. As a comic reader, do you guys follow a character, or are you at the point now where you follow a creator first? So, I mean, like, for example, I was like, I don't necessarily pay attention to who the creative team, because I'm going to buy Superman regardless. Or you're like, well, I won't buy Superman unless, if Jeff Johns writes it, then I will.
I mean, I have to say, for me, at the very beginning, it was Batman. I mean, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Now I'm really trying to spread, and I'm more of, like, I will ask you two, what about, okay, I'm interested in reading Spider-Man, and then you two would say, okay, well, look at this writer, and then that's what interests me. That's what direction I go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because if if you say I want to read Captain America and I point you to Tenacious Codes, you're going to be like,
I might punch in the face.
yeah. So, like, again, it's I would have to agree with Ace a little bit in the sense that sometimes I focus strictly on the character, and I could be turned off by a writer. Like, if Booster Gold falls in the hands of, some SJW and all of a sudden becomes, a homosexual, and him and Ted Cord hook up. Like,
Careful.
I don't know if that necessarily fits what I'm looking to get out of a Booster Gold book.
Right.
Or, if
he's
Daredevil
no longer Booster at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. If Daredevil becomes, he can finally see and now is full on atheist. Like, okay, that doesn't feel like that doesn't fit right for me. So
he's not Daredevil anymore. He's Mr. Satanic.
Okay, we got one last question from Sam. He wants to know what your all's thoughts are on Valiant Comics. He thinks they're killing it.
You mean killing it as in
good,
doing great, or
good? Oh,
Sam, we love you, man. Do you realize Heather Antos, the Antichrist of comic books, was the publisher?
Wait, maybe they're saying Valiant is killing the indie scene. Wait, I might have read that wrong. He said, can we talk about Valiant Comics or Image or Dark Horse and what they are doing? Indie scene gets no love. Valiant is killing it.
Man, I got a lot to say about Valiant. Ref and I love Valiant. Go.
Yeah, sorry. If he's saying Valiant's killing it, like doing great, I would maybe disagree with him right now. Valiant was doing great, and but again, they kind of shot their load, like Marvel and DC is. Like, they're kind of creatively bankrupt. They're just replaying the same old things over and over and over again. But I would say Image is a constant, because they just, they go from anywhere from superheroes to sci-fi to horror. I mean, they've got different platforms. So
Ref knows how much I love Valiant Comics. I love the whole universe, like, immensely. And when they first came back, I was so excited for a long time. And those early books with I think Dinesh, when we even met him, Ref, at the conventions. Man, that stuff was so good. But I'd say over the last couple of years, when Heather Antos got in there, and she's the dreaded, like I said, Antichrist of any comic editorial team, there seems to have been substantial dips taking in some of the quality. Although, to be fair, I haven't kept up as close lately. I'm kind of basing that off on people I trust opinion. I did hear the newest Shadow Man is quite good. So maybe with Heather now being gone, maybe they're going to try to get back on track. But I'm worried about them because they're not producing much at all. I think their sales are in the toilet. So that concerns me.
He said that he's a Savage Dragon guy.
Oh, Heavy Flow is my favorite villain of all time.
Excuse me?
Is
this a menstruating?
Is that like Mom? Is that the new Mom one too that we're all excited about?
No, that's I sent you guys a funny picture of Heavy Flow, the greatest villain, drawn by the great Eric Larson for Savage Dragon.
Wow.
So, yeah, that book's been on for, consistently being produced since the 90s. So, incredible. Hey, Boom is doing some good stuff too out there. I think didn't Boom produce Ref, have you read the Al Ewing book? Something about when they're dead, or with those giant celestial beings that their dead bodies are floating in space.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Read it.
Read it. Just do it.
Now, I love the indies too, and I know you do too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I see him on Sam's wet. He loves all the indie stuff. I love the indie stuff, and there is still some quality indie work out there. So I think when we really rail against the comic industry, I think we're mostly lamenting the DC Marvel state.
Yeah.
So
this is,
anyway.
I mean, if I'm an indie, this is the chance that I would really take risk on and really go for it, because you might get some people.
Yeah, indie wise, go read anything Mike Mignola. Anything by him.
Mignola looks great.
That whole Mignola verse is phenomenal. Witchfinder, Lord Baltimore, Hellboy, of course, BPRD.
Hellboy.
Yeah, all that great stuff, man. So good.
Abe Sapien. Yeah.
Abe. My man Abe.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
Oh, I think that's really about all we got, isn't it?
I think so.
Next week.
Good. Next week, we'll see what happens. A little bit of a slow news week this week, but next week you got another episode of Loki, and we'll see what's coming your way.
All right.
Steppenwolf says good night.
Good night, Steppenwolf. Good night, Sam.